ratio. That's pretty good for a team that hasn't done the most excellent in this league thus far.
Yeah, not too shabby. We have our map bands ready for you, so let's bring them up and see where we're going to play on. As usual, I feel like a broken record. 7 map pool. Yeah, ban 6 of them. You're left with 1. Ban theme park as decider. Fair enough. So we're going to see theme park again. Last time this was played was Xavier versus Fav. That's in the last Playday, second to last matchup. Fav took it 7-4, so Xavier has some experience on it. Why, though, do they remove Cafe to go on the map again after their loss against Fav?
Well, Cafe itself is pretty big, but I'm very surprised to see Club banned away here. Both teams have played it twice so far. It's a real good map for them both. They really like playing on it. So why they've chosen to ignore that and skip over it and say, okay, the choice is Cafe or Theme here, I'm not entirely sure. I think they just knew, at least in the mind of Electrify, that Theme Park was going to be the map choice after seeing Xavier play it the other day.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good ban. A lot of teams go around, they go, well, should I take a map to a known quantity or an unknown quantity? I think in this instance, if you're Electrify, you kind of go, well, I'm really well known on Clubhouse as it exists, and I don't think I'm capable enough to be able to change everything in the short amount of time. So I think the big thing for Electrify, get rid of the Clubhouse. I fully agree with it. You're not going to be able to change all of your strategies, nor should you. So go to a fresh hitting field, I think, there, and this will be a good one to test both of the capacities of each of these teams.
Why not? At least it's a playground that you haven't been on before, so it kind of throws a wrench into everybody's plans for it. So let's take a look at what people think about this game and where we believe it will go. R6 Esports APAC is where you can go and vote on the 65% Xavier. So the Thai fans showing up here. Fans of Chinese Taipei and not really working out today too well for Electrify. Again, that's just social votes. We've seen things go the other way. Waiting for players. As you've seen, there has been an additional few minutes added to our timer. I want to give some time to maybe focus a bit more on these players or these teams and players' experience, because in this matchup, Xavier definitely has the advantage. I think you guys would agree with me on this, that any match Electrify is in, they're the ones kind of losing out in the experience department.
I think it's a tough one because we're always expecting, I think now we've come to expect bigger things from them. Triple Lift has been, I mentioned earlier on, the kind of shining light in the dark, I thought. We saw them play on Playday 1. They lost 3 rounds back-to-back against Scars and got flawless round in every single one. The 4th round wasn't even close either. It was a single kill for them. It took 4 rounds for them to find just 1 single kill. And we thought, surely this is the team that's kind of come in. They're a merger of a couple of teams coming out of Chinese Taipei. Surely there's no way they can stack up against other teams. Well, would you have it? They have done so far. They've came out pretty good. They've come out swinging. Yes, they are still at 1 win, 2 losses. But I think overall I'm becoming more and more impressed by them. And still to this day, don't know what to expect from them coming into each game.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to point out, is that if you missed out on the first matchup with Electrify, it absolutely looked like a steamroll in the first half. I was sitting there going, oh no, Electrify, wow, like I wonder if this is going to be their future for every play day. And consecutively, they got better and better and better. And the way that they came back in that second half, I think they just needed a warm-up. It's like, we're dipping our toes in the pool. It's kind of cold, but if you throw your whole body in there, you kind of get used to it. And I think that's exactly what Electrify did. They went, oh, it's cold, it's cold, it's cold. All right, boys, just jump in. We're going to do it. And then they warmed up real quick.
Definitely so. I mean, that first play day was definitely full of a lot of action on all fronts. We saw it from every single one of our matches. So, yeah, it was a great time to start. 8-6. I mean, 5 rounds for Scars on the defense, 1 for Electrify on their attack, and then somehow suddenly they're able to bring it back. I know it was pretty crazy to look at. Electrify losing, of course, to Giants. They lost again to Q Confirmed. But as you guys said, Villa, Clubhouse, they were putting up a few rounds at least against teams like Giants, like Q Confirmed. So it's not like the team can be discounted. There definitely is potential for an upset. It's just going into this, when you purely crunch the numbers, there is no other way than to say, yes, Xavier comes in with this advantage. Xavier losing to Fav, it was theme park last play day. Let's dig a bit more into some of the strategies that we saw from Xavier in that play day, because I feel like if you haven't really fixed them over the past 2 days, you're going to see similar issues.
They've liked things like the mirror. I remember them running a couple of mirror strats a few times, and Fav's response to that was, let's bring smokes. Just smoke out the mirror windows and push him regardless. I remember at the time, Jess said, oh, I really like the way they're setting up their sightline drones here. And I was like, so you mean drones? She was like, yes, they're called sightline drones. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry. So there are elements here, I think, where they can be outpaced by teams. I think if Electrify come in hard and fast, you might see Xavier getting caught out a little bit. But I like the mirror use against teams that aren't ready to deal with that. You can really do some damage. So I hope Electrify prepared, and I hope they've VOD reviewed that game to the death.
I agree. Mirrors are just that kind of factor that you never sort of bring in. I mean, in EUL, if most of you are familiar with that entire scene, mirror gets banned almost always. And when it's in play, it's such like a weird oddity that you're seeing there. You're like, why is there even a mirror on the map? Why are you playing a mirror? We never see a mirror. So in APAC, it's featured a lot more. So I think the teams are a lot more comfortable going against it, knowing how to counter it. Smokes are a big one. Of course, Havana is another one that from a distance, you're able to use that range to be able to destroy it. But I think on a map like Theme Park, you won't see it as much because, I mean, in Armory at least, you'll see a lot of players from just trying to keep the walls solidly closed. It's a very compact type of site. You can't get verticals over thrown. You can over Armory, so that's why you see a lot of the yellow pushes instead. But I mean, why put a mirror somewhere where it can just be, shot from behind? You've got Dragon. There's no point putting one on the barrels wall. Maybe you could put one on maintenance wall. I'm not sure where else you would be putting them for the downstairs. But once you get upstairs, mirrors become very funky.
Definitely so. And then you can combo that with longer line of sight, right? We saw that in Initiation. You put a mirror into the hallway. You also have somebody playing in daycare. You have some long angles that you can play through them. Kind of, if you remember in Cafe, you used to have that mirror, like reverse mirror split in Freezer, where it'd be one mirror looking into piano on one angle and the other one from White Hallway from another, and they would kind of cross past some weird way. There's some weird stuff that you can do with mirror windows. Of course, you have two of them that you can use, which opens up a lot of potential. We're still waiting for a player, by the way. That's why you're hearing us talking about many things. And my segue into that, you talked about Mira. I want to talk about some of the destruction denial operators, because we've seen Cloud, Bandit, and Mute, all three operators, come out fairly often on lineups here, specifically on Throne, which seems to be a very much hit and miss site for both Jaggers and Defenders, actually.
Go on,
as I say, it kind of came into the game where, yes, there is that hatch that's kind of above blue, the one that pushes down towards barrel side, that you can electrify out. It stops them getting control of the upstairs, opening that up and just chucking grenades down at barrel's wall so you can destroy the gadgets and things like that. I think the one fear for me that it turns into with that hatch is it kind of becomes a war of utility once again. It's how many ADSs and magnets can we stack up near this hatch and how many grenades have you got to throw, right? And we see this coming out on a lot of maps. Does a team dare get risky enough and ban away something like the Myers we've seen the teams like BDS starting to trend towards? I don't know. But it does make that site a little bit funky at points. Otherwise, it's a really awkward kind of force your way in through the single doorways or attempt to get the breaches open. But I agree with you, with something like a Bandit or a Kaidan side, it can really slow those things down.
Thatcher ban's very common. Kali on top as a replacement, Jess.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because that was going to be my next point. I mean, I don't know what the bans are going to be on attack, but on a map like Theme Park, the attacking bans are so important. I mean, if you see a Maverick ban, okay, no problems. But if you see it paired with a Thatcher ban or vice versa, that's when things get really tricky really quickly. Then you've got to bring a Kali. Okay, who's your Kali player? Can they hit their shots? You only get one opportunity with a Kali oftentimes, so it can be really difficult. I think Kali's super underrated. I think her lances are brilliant. You can get rid of like 99% of things with it. So I think it's a brilliant piece of utility. It's just the gun, the weapon that you've got with it, it's not the most versatile of weapons. It also zooms up really fast. So it's not great for entering sight of any sites that I can think of. Maybe Cafe is the best example where Kali might even be relevant.
Yeah, Kali being very relevant in the current play style and the current metagame, as we've been seeing in every single map pretty much. We to the point where we even saw her banned. I think it was in our last matchup. So definitely something to keep in mind. But we've seen a lot of replacements where on Throne as well does. You'll see Sledge come out, grenades also being lobbed down to clear people outside of Armory and by the Furnace. Power positions that usually are difficult to kind of take people out of.
The kind of spots where you might sit him as something like a dock, for example, and just play for the range, absolutely. And you are right, the sledge can often get upstairs, start clearing out the area around initiation and office, smashing up that floor, getting the sight lines down. And we always speak about this on maps like Cafe, right? When we always talk about how fast teams can get into positions inside of things like Train or inside of Fireplace, can they move defenders out of these power positions? They are very real things that you need to be super aware of. And if you can clear them out from the north side, force them back down to play towards Throne, that's when life gets a little bit easier, because then you can start looking into saying, okay, well, we know half the side is clear. Haven't got to worry about that. We've grenaded it to the living hell, to the nth heaven. And in some cases, you still got to worry about someone rotating back there in the later stage of the round. That's when things can get worrisome, I guess. Or you get defenders charging out of sight, as we've seen a few do already today, trying to pick up kills as you're starting to get your setup in there and might not really be ready for someone to come and try and gun you down.
I think the big thing here for these teams, and before we sort of jump into the game, I think the big thing that I've been seeing lacking in the theme parks, we haven't seen a lot of them. So, of course, this is just sort of a micro analysis here of the teams in APAC and how they sort of treat something like Armory and Throne as a site. They don't really heavily contest drug. That's something I think that they need to focus more on, because if yellow meta push is going to be the one that they take, they get the top floor control, get rid of the wall denial, open it up, and then they go behind the wall section in the middle and get the plant off, then if you're going to do that, defenders, number one, need to be contesting drug, because you can open up a line of sight from drug all the way over into yellow hallway. And if you're attackers, you need to take control of that as well. So I don't want to see all this, turtling into Armory and giving up the fact that, well, they're just going to open up the wall anyway and hoping you can hit your shots or C4s or whatever. I want to see these teams branching out on the bottom floor, the same that we see them do on the top floor. And I think that's where the nervousness comes from a lot of these teams. Throne used to be like the go-to, but I think at the moment it's not the best side to be holding.
I mean, that yellow hallway hold is something that can give defenders so much of an advantage, not just when they're playing on Throne, but also when they're upstairs in initiation, in daycare. Because what does it give you? It gives you, first of all, line of sight, right? A long hallway that you can hold, control over yellow stairs, control over bathroom, control over lab, as it is now known, I guess, with the reform of the map. So yeah, all of those positions are power positions. And how many times have we seen Dokebi come out even specifically to deal with players that hold on to that position for their dear life?
Well, we saw Xavier ban away Jackal last time round, so anything to do with removing the roamers here is going to be a real big one for them. Absolutely.
Okay, we actually have some more details, so we're going to bring out some more head-to-head. Look at that cool graphics. Red Sun and Triple Lift. Why these two? Why so serious?
Why so serious? Yeah, I mean, these are the kind of the big fraggers that I look at on either side, right? Triple Lift, again, has been the shining light for me in how this team has been playing so far. He's pleasantly surprised me. And although he's currently set at 20 and 18 on the KD, I think the number of rounds where you'll see him stepping up and finding a good 2 or 3 kills to swing the round over to his team sides is really, really impressive. Redson on the other side, not always strictly at the top of the kill leaderboard, but it's more the fact that he's consistently sitting in first or second in rating. It's the impact he has across the whole game that's really worth touching on. Don't expect to see him being the entry fragger. That's not his role. But when he's playing the roamer in a bit of the early stages of the round, just trying to kill some drones, waste some time, that's really where you're going to see him shine.
Yeah, it's good to have these two players up here. Like you said, they're both very similarly rated. Look, 1.11 against a 1.1. You can't get closer than that, of course. And, of course, you can see the KD ratio for Red Sun. It's a lot higher than, of course, Triple Lifts. But I wonder if that's because Red Sun's had more rounds to go through and therefore being able to boost his stats compared to Triple Lift. And on Triple Lift's side, you're right. He has more opening kills. He's got a better addition of 2 there, and that's simply out of the fact that Maverick, you would never make the assumption, is going to be that entry fragger. So for Red Sun, keeping his stats up high, doing his job as a Maverick, getting those walls open, and still keeping a very good positive rating has been very key for Xavier, and probably why they're seeming a little bit shaky, but much better recently.
Yeah, I guess if you guys are not sure what we're talking about, it's game number 6 for this Playday, Electrify versus Xavier, and they're going up on Theme Park. And I'm kind of discussing through some of the strategies to see on there. You guys talked about, roam denial. We've seen Vigil played a lot, but also we've even seen the odd Oryx here and there. Now, I know big subject. Is Oryx worth it or not? We've seen it on Oregon. We've seen it Here, go ahead, Des. I don't want
You
to
want to
stop
see
you.
me and Jess bicker? This is probably a good one to bring out, right?
Oh, yeah.
I
Go
believe
ahead.
in Oryx. I will
My
side with
children.
Jess by saying that I agree that it hasn't been effective so far. I believe when teams finally start getting him right, he will be really impactful, hopping up and down hatches. He will just be a nightmare. Even if he gets no kills, he's wasting time. I'm not 100% sure that Jess feels the same way.
I think it's just annoying as hell to deal with. It wastes so much time and so much
Absolutely.
utility. Okay.
Look, the reason I disagree with Des is just purely out of the fact that I've watched
Des.
both leagues. And yeah, well, it's Des,
And
number
that.
one. Number two, every bit of Oryx play I've seen on a multitude of maps from both EUL and APAC North, I've seen almost no effectiveness for his particular gadget. I'm calling it a gadget very loosely there. The fact that he can jump up and down the hatches and he can burst through walls. If someone can send me a clip, tag me on Twitter at JustGoat with a clip that proves that Oryx has had effectiveness with a hatch hop or bursting through a wall to take someone off guard during tier 1 play since this new season, I will call myself wrong. I will say you're a god, whatever it needs to be.
Yeah.
But I've watched a lot of games in EUL APAC North, obviously. I mean, I'm working it, so I need to be here ready to go. And there's not one Oryx play I can fall back on to say this has been a good pick over another operator.
And this is specifically tier 1. Don't send us your casual match replays where you just go up against somebody on Xbox and you kind of smash them with the Oryx from the back. But I completely understand Desertu's point that it does burn a lot of time, right? With Vigil, the gimmick, quote unquote, is also they can't see me when I drone and only when I have my utility on. So you can kind of say the same thing about Vigil, yet he also has the impact. MP5 and the K1A, both great weapons to be using. So you have that sort of flexibility late in the round. Yeah, sure, the drones will be able to spot you, but Oryx's ability, his gadget, as you're saying, is literally going to the gym. So learn from that something, gamers, I guess. Jump up the hatches, go for those late round rotates. We haven't seen those big plays, but it burns time and utility. And turns back to our point on Theme Park, is that it forces teams to play more into the roam denial operators. When you're going for a Lion, a Jackal, the Kevi, sometimes all 3 operators, what are you losing on? That also important soft destruction, that Ashe, that Zofia, that we need so much of nowadays.
Absolutely. I mean, thinking about it with the Oryx, you can get like a flank drone on and sit and watch him. And I kind of proposed this to a few coaches and said, surely you just sit and watch him with the flank drone, right? And he's no problem. And they were like, it's not so much that he's a problem in that sense. He pops his head up through the hatch. You get the call of, oh, Oryx is popping up inside a hatch. Then you have to drop back down. It's just constantly changing up and down. Unless you're willing to commit a few attackers to have 1 or 2 watching downstairs to spray him as he drops, 1 on the upstairs to try and kill him as he comes up. It is just a nightmare to deal with. It wastes time. And we spoke about this on Cafe Jest. On maps like Cafe especially, you don't have a lot of time to take full control of the map. It hurts.
Okay, Des, scoreline.
Ooh, Xavier 7-4, I think.
Jess?
Xavier 7-3.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to kick it to casters. Remind you, Rainbow Six Bravo is where we'll be broadcasting on, as the main Rainbow Six channel will go off to commentary on LATAM, specifically Brazil. You'll see more on that. Many surprises. Start teasing people about it. It's time to go for BR6. But before that, it's our matches, our last game of this evening. Xavier versus Electrify. Let's get to our casters on Theme Park.
One more time. And they seem to be heavily favored with Xavier. So we're going to see an underdog story here. That is going to be the $1,000,000 question, Gio.
Yeah, I mean, both of these teams, they've had 1 win so far, and both of them have been in overtime. But obviously, Xavier's win has been against Fnatic, and Electrify's win has been against Scars. And at the time, we didn't really know what to think of Scars. And as they said on the desk, we still kind of don't. But, Electrify have come into this competition as the dark horse. That's what we've been hailing them as. They came from the Chinese Taipei region, which really has had no coverage. Whereas we know what Xavier can do. They came in from Pro League, and we've seen, well, even just looking back at their last game, which was on this map that they played against Fav Gaming, we've seen that they really put up a fight. So I don't know. It could go either way, but I'm excited to see.
Well, after we blamed it on the players, right? That there was some connection issues, but we were actually just taking a quick nap and we had to wait up. So production had to wait for us.
Speak for yourself.
Okay. I was just trying to make a joke here, all right? Come on. Oh well,
Yeah,
now
okay.
they were speaking about it. There was some Uplay connection issues, but we're all back in it now. It's going to be the Thatcher to be the first one to be banned, and well, what else? As a Thatcher to be removed straight away on a
Okay.
map like Team Park.
Well, going to be going for Jackal, so the ability to use that Inox track where your enemies are no longer going to be in play. And Jackal's not a particularly common operator anymore. People like to bring him in certain niche situations and maybe combine him with some of those other tracking operators like a Lion or a Dokkaebi, but usually on kind of specific maps. So whether or not that's more of a target ban remains to be seen. Mute also going to be going. That's a ban that I really like. I think mute bans are incredibly jammy, for no pun intended, actually, to be honest. But I think I think that they're quite fun because it means suddenly a lot of that
The pun or the
denial, not
bans?
shut up. A lot of that denial that you have not only on the walls but also on things like drones now suddenly off the board, and then a mirror just to round things out.
Definitely so. Mira, actually an operator that can be very impactful on the likes of Theme Park. But as it has been removed, we're not going to be seeing any little bit of it. C2 SAS operators and also both the Spanish ones gone. Came in with Velvet Shell. It's now going to be the first defensive round for Electrify. Are they going to be able to make that underdog story come loud and clear right here? Or is it going to be Xavier that is going to be padding their stats and padding down win-loss just a little bit for them, hoping to be able to make quick work out of Electrify?
Well, we're going to see Xavier taking a leaf out of Talon's book, bringing the Blackbeard, see if that gets as much value as they hope, but 2 6 picks out as well. IQ on the attacking side and the Bandit there on the defensive side. Now, of course, Thatcher isn't in play, so you can't use the EMP to get rid of them, but it also means tricking isn't really an option. All you'll have to do is shoot out those Bandit batteries, and they'll be gone. But it does mean that you do have that extra kind of roamer who can use the C4 and threaten those attackers as they start to head in towards the site, which is something that we've seen quite a bit, not necessarily on this map, but on a couple of maps. You've also got the Valkyrie as well with the C4. There are a couple of those there on the side of Electrify.
All right. Seeing that being opened up there on the scaffolding into the vault. Will allow them to be a bit more aggressive onto those yellow stairs, make sure they can keep a hold on that. You see reinforcement right there into Cafe, so there's no real bridge being created there. Meaning that actually it's supposed to be just beneficial for the defenders, but by the way they're currently playing, it's going to be only 1 or 2 of them guarding that cross. Could just as well land in the hands of Xavier if it's not being defended properly, and that could be a very tough angle to deal with, especially if you're all the way in the backside right there. So, as Scatman and Onagiri will be the first ones to land on that balcony. There's going to be a cash take soon. They want to go straight into initiation and in the office right there to get control of the eastern side of the map to push through from there on forward.
I'm just heading on into showers pretty quickly. This is Onagiri looking for these angles onto some of those potential opponents. So far, not seeing anything. But if they do continue on with this aggressive move in, as they do, they're able to get the opening pick. Onto Ray, he was one of those players that was highlighted at the start. Des called him a ray of light, I believe, for Electrify. So with that key Jaeger missing, that means that roam power that would otherwise be available to the team is no longer there. You can start to see Xavier moving forward a little bit more, and that's why Pikachu's had to move back towards the site itself.
Still add a triple lift in these positions right here. Zenagiri picks up yet another kill. And is going to be able to at least give a quick response to get a double lift. The diffuser has been dropped. 1 player still right here in initiation. Are they going to be able to find him though? That's the question. It's actually 2 players still there, as it is being held quite well, but Ed managed to get that kill in. That's going to be the advantage now turning into the favor of Electrify, even though they missed that ray of light from early on. It's another kill to come through, and only up to Napew now. Repels in hot. Be dealt with accordingly. Ed manages to get that last kill. Electrify win the first round onto Team Park in their defense. Of course, they want to get in at least 3 to 4 rounds to put themselves up for basically a good execute on the second half.
Now, don't forget, everyone, that we are going to be moving over to the Bravo channel so that the Brazilian region can start here on the main channel. So if you want to be watching the rest of what happens here in the APAC North Division, hop on over to that channel. We'll be there. The game's going to finish up. If you want to watch some LATAM, then of course, the main channel is always there. But moving on to the next round, I think one of the big problems that Xavier had in that round was that, well, yes, they wanted to come in aggressive, and it started off well with those 2 opening picks. They were just a little bit overzealous, and it meant that there was a lack of coordination and lack of information available to them as they started to move in, and they just kind of got picked off from angles that they weren't really considering. No one was in a position to be able to refrag anyone, really. I mean, even when you saw the Blackbeard go down, right, it was kind of disappointing because your whole point is you've got a shield that's meant to protect you from having something like that happen to you. And then obviously you're left with the IQ at the end, who is all on her own anyway. And it was really just a bit messy. So I'd like to see it get neatened up, and there is really no excuse for having a lack of intel when the mute is banned out. I mean, what's going to stop your drones other than obviously someone shooting them? So I want to see Xavier you kind of tighten it up a little bit, be a little bit neater, be a little bit cleaner as they head on here to the lab site.
Still very good entries coming in from Nigeria, but they weren't able to find anything past that. And Electrify able to stand together as a team, get these crossfires in, play on contact. And as they did, it was Electrify to eventually get that first round in. And of course, same win-loss ratios are currently being owned by both Xavier and Electrify. It's just that Xavier relatively had the more strong opponents they had to go against. Actually managed to beat Fnatic as well, whilst Electrify managed to beat Scars. Well, Scars beat Fnatic today, so what does that say about these teams? I'm not really sure, because everything is just all over the place right now. As Scars already being deployed on this section. How did he get it there? Through the window. Okay, there we go.
Always helps to be able to, do it through the window. But yeah, here we go. So we're seeing this positioning here from Electrify. They've instead decided to bring the Kaid this time rather than the Bandit. And you can see where those electricals have been placed, but actually he's not going to last all that much longer as Red Sun gets the opening kill onto him. Now he can begin to place down those air jabs and move on down Yellow Corridor. Can he get a second? Well, DCH, he's able to get that for himself. It's a good start here for Xavier, but this is sort of what we saw last time. They got those 2 opening picks, and then suddenly everything started to go Pete-Tong. So whether or not they can keep it up is another question.
Definitely another question as Red Sun moves in right here with that Blackbeard. Gets the shield, but won't be able to get the kill onto Pikachu. However, Scatman was already on that window to actually secure it. Will now be finished off as Triple Left wants to go aggressive, maybe a bit too aggressive. That's going to be putting him into a very disadvantageous position. The plan's going down in the meantime. It's only up to ED, or Ed as we call him, to try and make sure that they still get this round in. He's not going to be able to find a single kill. Xavier to win round number 2 and take the advantage they should have taken last time around after those 2 amazing entries from Onigiri. However, this time they managed to close it out. This time they managed to actually get the round in and show that they're not here to play around.
So obviously our analysts thought 7-3, 7-4. So far 1-1. Whether or not this is going to end up being more even as the series plays out remains to be seen. Of course, I did say it just before the last round started. Don't forget, we are moving on over to the Rainbow Six Bravo channel. You'll be able to see the rest of the series there. Come and join us. It's going to be great. You know what else is going to be great, Hap? Clash.
What is going to be great?
Clash has been brought out, and the interesting thing about this is when Xavier played on this map against Fav in the last Playday, they banned Clash. So that wasn't something that they ended up facing, and evidently it was something they didn't want to face. Well, now Electrify are going to be using it against them, and here on this Armory throne room site, and this is what Jess was saying at the beginning, this is a very compact site. You often see this kind of turtle-style defense happen here. People stay very, very close, and it's all very kind of squished in, and they like to reinforce it off at all these different sides. If you can prevent, you know, those angles and routes into the site with a Clash, that can make it even harder for the attack to break in.
Indeed, that clash is always like a bit of a pain to deal with. It's just standing there with that shield, just slowing you as well. You don't really want to stay out in the open too long, because then one of the teammates will be just, you know, swinging around, get the kill like that, as you're basically unable to move. And thus, it's, well, kind of key to deal with that clash. However, worth noting is that Electrify is using it on Triple Lift. Triple Lift, one of their impact players. It's not going to be on an automatic rifle now for the round start. Might not be able to make the same amount of impact that he normally does, as he will be trying to stall out for as long as he possibly can with that shield. You might wonder how that is going to be able to play out in favor of Electrify, or if this is just helping Xavier to get a better hand on actually hunting down these fraggers, because otherwise it's going to be Ray to make the job to get the job done. If Triple Lift is not in that current situation, there's a C4 coming up. That's a pretty neat one. And Erigiri almost dying out to that one there.
Yeah, there was a lot of damage being taken there, and that's of course going to give that clash the opportunity to move on back, as that's who was being pinged out there. Onigiri is going to retreat over here towards the waiting room and be joined by Napier so they can work together. Still, you got Triple Lift waiting at the bottom of Dragon there, and Scatman, I suspect, knows exactly where he is, as he's just sat at the top of the stairs. But even so, half the round is down, and Xavier still haven't actually made it into the site. There's one of the drones being sent in, so they're going to have the opportunity to have a little bit of a look around, but they've got to try and figure out how it is they're going to breach it. There's the flashes being sent in. It's not going to affect the clash all that much. And Triple Lift is just doing his best to stay here in the doorway to prevent that. Oh, okay, that's a lot of flash. That's a lot of flash.
that's a big flash coming now right there. Just fully blind, not going to be able to see anything. It's flash to die first, as you say, it's a lot of flash. Just everything happening around that word. It's another kill to potentially come through. Scatman right now is going to be getting into that gunfight with Ed. Will be taking him down, brings it up to a 5-on-3, and suddenly the advantage seems to be in favor of Xavier. As Electrify have 2 guns and a shield left right here. The plant seems to be going down already. His Triple Lift will be getting off that shield, putting up some pressure, putting up some kills as well on that board. The grenade will almost take him out. He will now have to start running around, as V actually wants to be able to stop this plant. As an Nagiri goes down, it'll be Triple Lift that potentially could be coming in from the back right here. And if he manages to find the one that just planted that diffuser, he could have been able to go for the plan, but he will be taken down as a result. And it's only left to Ray right now. We'll be able to pick up 1 kill to start things off. Need to find 2 more. One is relatively low on HP, but he doesn't spot him right next to the bomb chassis. It's going to be Scatman that will be using the Type 89 to get that final kill. And Xavier to win their second round after a long stall to come down from Electrify, but they fell back to the side a little bit too early, allowing Xavier to just do what they needed to do, get their execute going strong. And after that, it was just cutting the angles, making sure you have them, and go for refrags if necessary.
Well,
Electrify had no chance.
One of the things I really have to question about that round is, I think the kind of turning point was when those flashes were sent into the clash and forced Triple Lift out of the way, and therefore they could start to force their way in. Where were the Wamai discs? Where were the ADSs? You know, flashes should really be being used to burn that utility out, but instead they were able to be sent straight over Triple Lift's head and go straight in and get that value for, you know, in the sake of forcing the positioning of the clash instead. And it makes you wonder, right? And then Flash, the player, was the first one to be brought down, so that meant that those discs were no longer going to be regenerated and could then be used to actually help deal with that situation. So I'm hoping that, you know, Electrify, who are opting to come back to the same site now, are going to make a change like that. Obviously, they're not bringing the clash anymore. They're opting to take the Maestro instead. And that means some of that utility here on the side of Xavier is going to have to be expended towards that. But they're also making a change to their operator lineup, not just the Capital, who will be able to have those bolts available to him, but arguably more importantly, the Monty.
Yeah, that Monty being brought from Redson is definitely going to be hopefully impactful, as it is directly a counter against any aggressive plays from Electrify to come out. It just allows you to be a bit more, well, crowd controlling. Of course, not using the same crowd control shield that that Clash has, but a little bit of a more antique version of it. will be blocking the doors. Will be basically a walking mirror window or a walking wall, just to basically force them out, to shepherd them into more favorable positions for Xavier to actually deal with these defenders, and potentially even go in for, you know, a quick plant reversed with the shield on the back to make sure that you're not getting any shots around you. As Xavier right here will be taking some quick control of Cash and the top Dragon stairs. It is, however, still going to be the members of Electrify ready with some bullet holes right here into the office, hoping for someone to walk past into that bathroom. There we go. Will indeed. Scatman gets dropped, and that's the diffuser down.
Great start there from Electrify, as it has been Xavier in a number of scenarios who've been getting those opening kills, so it's nice to see things turn around. And when you look at the stats of these two teams, they have been about even for opening kills. 41% for Xavier, 40% for Electrify, but a higher win rate for Xavier when they are able to take them. And that is kind of, you know, what we've seen. Xavier been doing very well there. Electrify beginning to even those things out. There go the air jabs, and this is one of the things with this site, is if you can place those air jabs around it, it makes it very hard for the defense to be able to put up any kind of flank, any kind of roam, and you can, in theory, trap them in there as you begin to surround the site for yourself. Onigiri taking hold of those angles, and here's Triple Lift waiting here in the bathroom. Just waiting to see what's going to come in. That'll be Triple Lift getting a kill onto Onigiri, and Flash following things up as well. Things going well here for Electrify, with just DCH remaining on the side of Xavier.
DCH right here up for a mountain to climb. Not really Montagna, as he died already, but he will have to fight 5, go for an ace clutch. I don't think it happened often in competitive play, maybe once or twice, as he finds one to start things off. Still relatively healthy, as he has about 60 HP left. Should be enough to get 1 or 2 more kills at least. If he takes them off clean, you never know what else can happen. But with 24 seconds left, it's time that is in his disadvantage right here, especially with the diffuser dropped the way it is. These last 15 seconds counting down, he will most likely not be able to find anybody anymore. Maybe just one right here into these laboratories, hoping to at least pick one up. Goes for a little bit of a pre-fire right here with that AK, but it's not going to be landing in the end. It's Flash to get the final kill. Electrify to draw things back up. We're in a 2-2. Yes, it is a very close matchup so far.
Disappointing there for DCH. He went for the pre-fire, but seemed to land most of his bullets into the shelving unit attached to the wall. You know, it happens. You can't beat yourself up over it too much. And so now Electrify will be going on up to Bunk. This is where, of course, they went for their first site, which they were able to secure for themselves. But a lot of that was off the back of the fact that Xavier had a very, very messy attack, a very uncoordinated attack. So it'll be interesting to see if they can change things up, if they can adapt from that initial attack that they went for that didn't work out for them, bring the Capitale. And I believe that Electrify are bringing basically the same defensive lineup they did before. They did have that bandit before. They had the control room wall electrified so that they could electrify. They had the control room wall electrified so that I would try and hinder that push that could be coming in there from Xavier.
There's no way around that then, Gio.
Yeah, I know.
It's going to be happening a lot more. You don't even do it intentionally.
No, I don't. I'm not the sort of person who would do puns intentionally. Anyway, there we go. On the cash office wall, seeing those boundaries be placed.
It's just like Flash, you know, when he throws out a flashbang, it's like Flash throws a flash. It's just the way it is. It's the nature of these names of both team and players.
No.
There's no way around it. You cannot avoid it, Gio. It's going to be happening whether you like it or not.
Like
but
this game specifically, this team with the name like Flash and with a name like Electrify have set that up. Up goes the C4. It's going to be pre-placed. Not going to be going off just yet. But also you have the name Pikachu as well.
Yeah, that fits in perfectly into Electrify.
Like, so
Pikachu used Bandit Charge Attack. Nice. All right. Enough cringe for this one round.
Yeah.
There's 2 minutes 20 left on the clock. We're just holding angles, as you can see. Onigiri hoping that member of Electrify charges through like a lightning bolt. And he might be able to pick them up right there. His pings are now coming out, but no one really going the full way of aggression that he would like to have yet. DCH has to watch out, though, as we saw before. There's a pre-placed C4 in that same room. They might have a Valkyrie camera to aid with that. And as he gets closer and closer, we might see the blow. No, not yet. Okay, we're just waiting. It's going to be probably anticlimactic when it finally does. But as Xavier, they need to get their attacking rounds in right now. We'll Electrify. There we go. As I said, anticlimactic. Unfortunate.
It's always heartbreaking when you see a pre-placed C4 not get the value wanted, but there's another C4 that's going out, but once again, not going to be getting the value they wanted. And now that's both C4s that have been used from the side of Electrify. You can see that utility coming out from Cap. It's going to make it harder for those defenders to be able to see through the smoke and potentially give the attackers a move in forward. There are those pings coming out as well that will assist the team. Waiting behind this ADS, but a projectile's not even going to go in. Instead, Red Sun is just going to go straight in with the shots, bringing Ed down. You can see Flash and Red Sun sat directly on the opposite sides of the wall to each other with triple lift, basically holding the angle that could catch Red Sun out. He's going to be taking some damage, but triple lift will be taking more as he goes straight down. Red Sun does get cleaned up as well, though, and now this puts us in a 3 versus 3. Like that, actually a 3 versus 2 with Onigiri so very low, been able to withstand for himself. But whether Xavier will be able to save this round for themselves is another matter entirely.
That is definitely another matter entirely. Luckily, Sophie, the only operator, of course, with that withstand ability. Of course, Doc can stim himself back up. It's kind of similar, however. You get less HP in the attack. He picks up one huge frag to start things off. However, his teammate is about to be taken out. His Pikachu will be getting a quick burst of rounds into that head with the SMG. And as right now, the last 10 seconds are going down. He needs to get these pre-fires down. I don't think he actually knows he got the down to Flash, but that definitely changes this round up entirely. As right now, it's all up to Pikachu. A lucky wallbang could be changing the entire outcome here, but it doesn't happen in the end. Electrify win round number 5 to take the lead yet again. And right now, 3-2 up.
And this bunk site just seems to be the hill over which Xavier cannot climb. And as you say, it goes to the 3-2 now. And of course, if Electrify are able to successfully defend Lab, then this will be a pretty good point at the half for them. But they weren't able to successfully defend Lab last time they came here, back in round 2, and actually Xavier went as far as to not quite complete the plant, but they did get it started off. And so they made their way into that site pretty swiftly. So we want to be looking for some of that adaptation to be coming out from Electrify. They did bring the Kaid before. He went down very early, so that meant that that utility from him. Of course, he had used one of his electric cores. I don't know if he was holding on to the second one, but, you know, when you're bringing things like a C4 and things like that, you don't want to be going down that early, especially when you're part of the reason the site is still being controlled by the defenders. So it'll be interesting to see how this works out.
It definitely will be. Electrify, however, are kind of surprising me the way they play this, because we know, of course, that this region is very attack-sided. So every now and then, today has been a bit more balanced, though. A lot more defense around its sides coming in, but I really like how Electrify is able to put a proper fight right here against Xavier. Right now, up 1 round, and they're looking to make this underdog story to come true. No, it really would like them to do so. Like, they didn't expect to get a single win out this stage. Now, 2 would be so good for these guys. They just started off in this scene. They just started off as pros, and I want to give them all the confidence that they can have to make sure that they're actually going to be sticking together and improving, because there's so much potential in Electrify that, you know, I kind of low-key cheer for them every now and then.
Just low-key. You're not going to go too.
I'm not
too
fully
enthusiastic
biased
about it.
Not fully biased, but just a small bit.
It's a tiny, tiny bit. All right.
Tiny
well,
bit.
Onigiri, don't know if he knows who is actually sat just on the other side of that window. He's going to take some shots through, but not anything's going to be coming of it just yet. You can actually see the drones being made through, heading down towards the yellow stairs. And so far, not all that much happening. It's He's just holding onto that angle through to where Pikachu is there. But still no one from Xavier entered the building just yet.
That's kind of the issue that is happening with a lot of these APAC teams. After like 1 minute 30 passes, that's going to be like the moment when the first person will be jumping through either a window or walking through a door. And well, you might wonder, that might be a bit of poor time management after that, because you still need to actually cut yourself through the actual site eventually. Right now, these incendiary bolts are being used, or asphyxiating bolts, I should say, to make sure no one is going to be able to play in the bathroom. Flashbangs are being tossed in. There's a lot of utility being expended right here. It's going to be the defense that replies with at least one of these smoke canisters that Pikachu had available to him. Still has 2 left in pocket, as right now Xavier are looking to attack from a different side as well. Going through the lockers right here. It's Bretson, knowing right now that someone will most likely be in that throne room. It's going to be smoked off just to create an extra blockade. It's not a wall. They will still make sure they won't be able to see it as the time ticks down slowly. There's only 50 seconds left, and the first kill finally on the board. It's ready to start things off, and then suddenly a flurry of kills all from Electrify to come in. However, Inagiri is able to respond, gets 2 as he just jumps in the side. Scatman with the diffuser in that bathroom. If he manages to rotate himself over into that drug room right there, he might be able to get that plan down. But with 30 seconds left, there's going to be Inagiri that gets taken down by Ray. And no one is on site, however. They're all on these long angles created, and they managed to get so many kills out of this. And right now, it's going to be one spotted right there. Scatman starts it off. The 1v3, he gets one. He knows that someone is around this corner. As he gets some of these pings, he's not going to be peeking too aggressively as of yet, because the time is soon to be running out. He has to go for this plant. That is going to be telling Triple Lift that he can potentially move in right now and scare him off. As soon as this plant goes down, he gets the kill and he gets the round. It's Triple Lift and coming huge in this one, together with Ray right there. And it's going to be Electrify to go 2-4 in this half.
Yeah, I mean, really, Scatman, he did all he could in that situation. And, I mean, Xavier, they tried a number of things. They had Onigiri play very, very patiently, waiting outside the window. Once the utility had been used by Electrify, things like the Toxic Babe canisters, the smokes that come out from the smoke to push back the attackers, that's when he jumped through the window. That's when he got rid of the Kaid and the smoke, and he cleared out that part of the site. But the thing is, by that point, already there had been 3 rapid kills in quick succession by the opposing team onto his own. So even though they were good kills, they were late. He knew how he was going to go about it. He knew why he was doing it, but they were late. And so they didn't acquire the value that Xavier were looking for. And by the end, that put them in a position where it was just Scatman who had no support. He had to go for the defuse because he didn't know where his enemies were. I mean, feasibly, he could have just wall-banged them. It was a soft wall, but he couldn't see them. He didn't have intel in that situation. And that's what led them to that problem that they had at the end. But as you say, we're moving over to the second half now. So Electrify are going to be here on the attack. And I'm very interested to see how it is that Xavier set up their defenses. They're bringing up a very different kind of defense to what we did see from Electrify. So they're going to be going for the Kaid instead of the Bandit. And they're going for the Mozzie, the Legion, and of course the Jaeger and the Wamai. So you'll be able to have a bit more of that roaming presence than we perhaps saw when Electrify were on the defense.
Definitely true. Electrify not really that active on the roam, but they still managed to get in their rounds eventually. So for them, it wasn't really that necessary. Xavier just didn't manage to close out these rounds eventually. As they're going to Armory Throne right now, it is going to be up to Electrify to see if they're going to be able to punch through the defenses of Xavier, and whether or not they will be hunting down these roamers first or just trying to cut straight to side. Because if you look at that right there at the maintenance room, there is no Electroclaw, there's no Mew Jammer, there is no Bandit charges on that wall. DCH is playing near yellow, already has one of his Electroclaws deployed on that hatch. Not sure where the second is. Oh, he has that one in pocket, so he has the opportunity to trick. But if Pikachu places that exothermic charge and it hasn't been placed yet, at that moment it's... Oh, just a wallbang for Triple Lift onto Napew. That is the Mozzie gone. Not sure if he was the one controlling a drone or something, but he's been removed.
That's well read there by Triple Lift. That's going to give him the opportunity to open up the floor here in Office. Start to get some of those angles and pressure those below him. It's a really devastating loss there as well for Xavier, because you want to be relying on having that roam potential if that's the kind of composition you're going for. You're having your players a little bit further off site, and you want to be going into some of those flanks, and of course the C4 as well, that is just so key on there. Electrify will be feeling pretty good about that situation as they start to try and move on into the site. Getting Pikachu here ready to place that exothermic charge onto the wall.
Oh, impact.
Oh, okay, the impact trick did work. All right, great. So he's got one more chance to do this, but there is one more impact in pocket there for Scatman, so he's going to try again.
Oh, it didn't take it that time. No. That time it actually went through. You saw 2 of the grenades there being actually utilized to try and make sure that the impact trick wasn't allowed to come through from Scatman. However, both were caught by these Wamai discs. But right now, there's 1 minute left. You see Onigiri going a bit aggressive right here. You can only wonder how long he's allowed to do this before he will be shut down. There's going to be only 4 drones alive in the likes of Electrify. That's all the information they will have to work with. Turn that down to 3 as 1 just got killed. It's going to be the aggressive peaks right here from Onigiri to try and make sure that this breach will not be actually breached and entered. As he is going prone right now, surely that was heard. You see the suppressor of Triple Lift right here, sticking around. He tries to go for the pre-fire, but wasn't able to hit it quite in the... Oh, go for quite the accuracy right here. Pikachu's available right now. He's going to be able to potentially go for a plan, but as he tries to rotate out, he gets taken out. Not quite sure why. It's only up to Ray right now. He knows one is in Throne, gets that clean shot right there, and it's all up to DCH, who yet again got air jabbed out. He's going to be all the way above with 10 seconds left. He will surely be soon to be pushing in. And as the angle is being watched, is perfectly being read right here by Ray. He's going for the bait, I believe, but no, actually, is he going for the kill? Is he going to be able to get it? No, he's not. The timer runs out and Xavier wins. I thought he was going to be going for the bait and instantly go back in the angle, but he stuck it a bit too long and missed the player walking through. Managed to get into a safe spot, and Electrify will lose that round.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. And so, as you say, that means that Xavier managed to take that round for themselves. And they needed a little bit of a boost. They needed to get some more of those numbers on the board for themselves. Obviously, could be the start of something beautiful. It could be the start of something else. But going over to their next site, we're going to be heading over to Bunk and Daycare. And they're actually going to be bringing the double electrification as well as the Valkyrie. So they're going to have those black eyes available to them. That's extra information that's going to be great. Of course, the Jaeger and the Wamai prevent those projectiles, but the double electrification means there's all more utility they have to worry about if they have to try and breach open those doors, walls rather. Obviously, last time they brought along the Thermite. That's what's going to be on the side of Electrify once again. He did get impact tricked once, didn't work the second time, but that really was all there was on the side of Xavier to try and deny the breach into the site. So even though they were able to win out the round for themselves, bringing this extra electrification should give them that kind of extra security that they require in order to have an even more thorough hold onto the site.
Definitely true. Xavier right here. He's not going to be expanding into initiation, something that we often see nowadays on Team Park. Just expand your horizons a small bit. But Xavier not having any of that. We'll be putting up a shield as well to actually be able to contest the waiting there and to contest the office. Both quite logical, as all reinforcements have been deployed. Mostly towards that eastern side of the building, and well, also where Electrify will be striking from this triple lift. Rest of the team not there yet, might just as well be droning him in just a small bit, as he is of course that fragger, that main fragger, not really playing in the main fragger role, but he's definitely the one that's most impactful on Electrify and enables them into making these amazing plays time and time again.
It's going to be a little bit harder as well for the members of Electrify coming in from the other side of the map to get in, as there was an electrified barbed wire just outside the arcade window. So that's going to mean that Xavier have a bit of a better idea of, you know, the kind of route they have to take in. Expect someone to come in through Cafe, maybe. Got some people at the top of Dragon's Stairs here. And so obviously as the defender, when you have more intel on where those players are coming in from, then that makes it a lot easier for you to be able to deal with the problem. Pikachu has moved into... Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say, I was gonna talk about Pikachu then, but actually Ed, he'll be going down first. That key entry on the side of Electrify no longer gonna be available there as Onigiri clears him up. Still sat behind this shield in yellow corridors, so that means they're still holding on to the control here on this west side of the map over towards the site. Pikachu right now, he's kind of sat in on his own here in initiation. Not much support around.
He needs to get rid of those bandit wires, but there's nothing he can really do. And also, I don't think it's destructible from below, as you could see the different flooring right there. It's Ray, however, to get the kill into Onigiri. That's going to be starting off at least the evening of the numbers, allowing Electrify to get back in it as rotations are being watched. And indeed, here you can see they're not going to be able to cut through the wall, at least not like this. They might be able to find a way into from throne, but I doubt it, as directly under those bandit wires has been... well, it's indestructible, so you need to angle off a grenade or an impact to be able to potentially get that kill, as Ray now gets another one up here on the scaffolding. C4 will be shot. It was most likely from Napew, who is still yet to find a kill. As Triple Lift will find a double kill of himself right now. It's going to be Electrify that win round number 8 and are refusing to give in any bit whatsoever yet. Draw it up to 4-4 as we speak.
Triple Lift is certainly having a good day. There have even been times where he has been caught out, but he's made some very intuitive movements. And obviously that's a testament to the fact that the team are relaying information to their players so that they know where to be, what to do, things like that. But it's definitely been pretty good for him. And I would say that in a lot of these rounds where Electrify have come out on top, he has been a very key part of that. But Xavier are deciding that they're going to return back to the same site. They got unfinished business that they would like to deal with here, but they're going to be bringing a slightly different composition now, opting to bring the dock instead of the double electrification. Evidently it didn't hold Electrify back as much as they would have liked. So the Kaid's still going to be there, that electric port is still going to be available. Crucially, he's not bringing a C4, he's just going to be bringing the barbed wire instead, so that won't be on this side, but you do have the two shields coming from the smoke and the Wamai. But having the dock means that stim pistol is available to you. You can also hold those longer angles, maybe have a little bit more of you know, a threatening prowess there against the attacking team. But should anyone fall from your team, you do have that ability to potentially be healed back up, or even receive an overheal should you need it, and be able to deal with the aggression a little bit better.
Something we often see in case a Capitao is being brought, for example. You can maybe take advantage of example of it from Yellow Stairs on Consulate. The player in that Yellow Stairs will often get overhealed just to deal with the with the fire arrows to come, and it just allows you to stay alive just a bit longer, maybe fulfill your job. Often like bandits as well, when they're trying to bandit trick a wall that's about to be exothermic charged. Just a quick dock stim often does the job there. And well, as right now none of these operators are around, the dock is most likely going to be used to try and challenge these long angles, and as you mentioned, heal people back up if they haven't been taken down straight away from a gunfight, just to get them back in there again.
Well, here come out those early shots, and the pings as well going to be appearing. It's a sign of all information is being shared there between the players of Electrify. Triple Lift just trying to get a little bit of a peek around the office doorway, just in case any of those members of Xavier are there. Deciding not going to be worth it to hang around, and he's going to wait for some of that backup there in the form of Pikachu. Now, Napew obviously sat here at the top of the yellow stairs, just behind this electrified wall, going to be watching out for that staircase, but now he's got another angle to worry about as the wall gets opened, and that's why you see him lying down on his back as Electrify get into a different position to be able to move on forward.
Yeah, being prone right here allows him to still contest the same angles as he wanted to before, but not being exposed from that scaffolding that just has been opened up. Right here, we see Ed not really struggling to open up, but we'll be going into that cafe first. Knows about one of these players, their positions, as right now going on the drone himself, maybe trying to get some extra information on the scaffolding where Napew will be playing. as he knows one position, not the second. DCH is getting tagged up quite a bit through that wall, will be forced to rotate yet again. This charge will be used to at least put him out of service, make sure he's not going to be able to play in that same position anymore. And as the last 50 seconds are now upon us, it is going to be flashbangs to be tossed in. There's going to be the utility to be wasted. And Nagiri gets the first frags. DCH to try and go aggressive, but he won't be able to find anybody as of yet, as Ed finds a response onto Napew. It's a very explosive last 35 seconds potentially to come in, as Ed right there will survive, get the flick, and actually get the kill onto a Nagiri, as the 3-on-3 will be turning down slowly but steadily, as it's only Scatman and Redson alive. 23 seconds left on the clock. Ed does not really have the support that he would like to have to go for a plant in this current position, as he's right there behind this little statue. Oh, actually, Team Smoke almost to come in, but Ed is going to be able to survive. It's going to be the plant to go down. Ed has to turn around, but he's not going to be able to do it yet, as it's now a 2-on-1 situation. Scatman will be swinging around right here, as Ray is able to get one kill, gets into safety as well. Scatman, you were supposed to peek that, as Ray gets the clutch. It's Electrify right now onto a match point, on 3 match points actually, and Xavier to really be struggling here.
They've been able to take this site twice in a row now, and I think Xavier maybe weren't prepared for the fact that Electrify were looking to come in from a different approach. They obviously opened up different walls. They made the rotation round to the west side of the map, where they used the things like the Ash Breach charge to open up onto the daycare wall on the soft part of it, apply that different pressure from a different direction when you still had players that were coming in from the east. That's something that they didn't do on the previous round, and probably something that Xavier didn't read into. And then suddenly they had to get themselves into all these gunfights at the end. And Electrify just looked significantly stronger. Even Onigiri, who, at the end there, he was on such low health. So made it very, very difficult there. But they're going to be coming down, as you say, on match point, down to Throne and Armory. And this is the site that they came to for their first defense, and Xavier were able to win it. So, clearly they're thinking, we've been here before, we know what we did, we can pull this out. But Electrify were very close to securing a plant in that round. So the question is, were Electrify close enough that all they need is that tiny little bit of extra nudge to be able to push them over to winning the round? Or are Xavier going to be able to adapt enough that they could prevent it from getting to that point in the first place?
Yeah, is Electrify indeed going to be able to deal with it? I think Xavier, they should be able to win this one if you're just looking at it right here. It's a very hard site to get into. There's also a lot of deniability available, like Breach Denial on Xavier. They have both DKA, they have the Bandit available as well. So, theoretically, there shouldn't be a way that Electrify is going to be able to get in, because yes, they're going to be trying to get over these grenades yet again, but most likely they will be picked up by either an ADS or by a Wamai charge of either Napew's yet to find a kill by Redson, who is doing quite well for his team so far. And as long as those grenades do not pop and explode within the range of these Electro Claws or Bandit charges, they will stay on. It will be really hard for Electrify to open up onto the actual site and to go for an actual execute later on.
And, it's kind of wild when we think about what our analysts predicted. They thought Xavier were going to have the advantage here. And Electrify, even now, even on Playday 4, still quite a hard team to read because there's so little known about them. And all they have to do is get this next round, and they will have secured the scoreline that our analysts pulled out. But
not the
it would
way
have been a different team. Yeah, exactly. So I think that's so cool about this team, how they are just able to consistently be that thorn in the side of the other teams, be the dark horse that people don't really know about. There's only so long for which you can be the underdog before people have to stop underestimating you. And so that's the story here. The story is Electrify, they've come out of nowhere, and they've really proven themselves. Okay, well, Napew is proving that he can actually punish Electrify when they make silly decisions like vaulting over the stairs. Is he going to be able to get his second kill? He is. That headshot onto Triple Lift could be key, as Triple Lift is one of those key players on the side of Electrify, but Napew is incredibly low health at this point. So the question as to whether or not he'll be able to recreate the results of his efforts remains to stand.
Well, at least they managed to slow down the likes of Electrify substantially right here, especially as Pikachu also goes down. It's a triple kill suddenly to come in. It's going to be Flash to instantly respond, though. So finally, he has been shut down, but he managed to pick up 3 kills right here. And, well, it looks like this might translate into a round in a bit right here, as it's a 2-on-4 situation. No walls will be opened up, and that grenade will be dealing with most of the barbed wire. So about if a player was about to be close, but there's just so many angles they need to cover right now. There's not a single wall they can open up. Just little time left either. It's going to be a 3-on-2. We're counting down the last 4 seconds to come in, but it's going to be a massacre in the end, as it's only going to be up to Xavier right now to pick that one up and force themselves into 6-4. Only 2 more rounds away from pushing this to OT. Something they would love to have. Whilst it's Electrify that have 2 more opportunities on sites that haven't been won yet by Xavier to try and close it out.
So much of the credit in that last round has to go to Napew, who not only was able to secure those 2 opening kills, but then despite being on something like 5 HP and being surrounded by fully health members of the attacking team, was able to get a 3rd. You shouldn't be allowed to do that. And when you can bring the attacking team, bring your opponent down to their knees and cripple them in a situation like that, especially on a site where they have to go through these more bottleneck channels because they haven't got one of the walls open, suddenly you've given yourself a huge advantage, and they were able to take advantage of that very much so. And so now, you know, Electrify is still going to have to be fighting for the victory here. It's not all over yet. It's still match point. All they have to do is win this next round. Bunk again. Now, Electrify won both of the times that Xavier have brought their defense to this site, and they won it both in different ways. They picked a different strategy for each time that it happened. And so that should be sending sweat a little bit down the backs of Xavier here. Now, it's interesting to see how they've opted to reinforce the daycare wall there, because that's not how they did it before. In fact, they only had the 2 middle reinforcements done before, and that is how Ed, who was playing Ash, was able to open up the soft wall with his breaching charge, apply that pressure in from the north side. So the fact that Xavier have made that change is a good start, because it means that they're thinking about what it is Electrify have done differently before to make their attack so successful. And then also we're seeing Easy, thank you, showing us the electrification on that wall there, which was also opened very early by Xavier. By Electrify, I should say.
Yeah, so you see Xavier instantly adapting to what was happening in the last round. However, that will kind of make sure that if they want to be going from initiation, that wall will no longer have any electrification on it, meaning it's easy to be breached, but it doesn't really matter on the likes of Electrify, as they're running the Maverick anyway in combination with both Zofia, Ash, and the Sledge, so there is going to be soft breach available and a hard breach on the likes of Pikachu, so they will get, they will open up any wall they would like, and we're pleased to have opened up, as simply there's nothing you can do against the Maverick right now except for hoping that you get your C4 through, or maybe smoke them to try and delay. But Electrify, they chose well. They adapted to what was being brought and what was being done by Xavier, something that Xavier really struggled with. I don't think they brought the Maverick, did they?
No, not before. They've been bringing the Thermite pretty much every single time before then. There we go. There's that wall that's going to be open there. Ooh. Ow. All right.
Ooh. Just being blasted back, you know? Just
yeah, all right. Just
no
chill.
worries.
Well, Napew's going to be making this rotation now. Napew, who was able to get so much value before, going to be heading over towards Lab to make this wide roam. If he can catch out any of the members of Electrify, that would be great, but it does mean that he's closer to the protection of his team. Onigiri looking through this Maverick hole, seeing if he can shoot out the feet, but it's not going to be able to do so before they open up the wall. And this is going to be Scatman as well, looking to do the same thing here in Bunk.
Definitely 4-6 right now. They have opened up some of these walls. Napew is being careful in the bathroom, having the opportunity to potentially go for a late flank if necessary. There we go. Napew swings out at the exact right moment as Flash pulls out the grenade. He's not going to be able to defend himself whatsoever, and that is going to be putting Xavier into the potential of winning this round as well. It's going to be Electrify in the back foot, especially as Triple Lift now gets taken down as well. It's going to be the barbed wire that gets knifed and Retson to instantly go aggressive, and that is basically how you counter off this Electrify right now. As soon as they want to be using their utility, you peek them out. Pikachu gets a little bit of a response. It's going to be able to find a second one. No, he's not. It's going to be the turn of Napew, who will be able to bring it all the way back to just Ray. He's not going to be able to clutch it out for his teammate. Xavier to win round 11. And we're going down to the 12th round. And are we going to be seeing an overtime yet again? I'm more afraid of the fact that I might be casting 45 rounds today.
Yeah, you did 30 rounds in the first
yes.
2 games of the day, and then you had your break, and I bet just one break wasn't enough after that. But I mean, I don't know. It was really impressive there to see from Xavier. The fact that they did choose to adapt to the things that I brought up before. They changed how they were reinforcing those walls, how they were preventing the movement to be able to go in from Electrify. And Electrify obviously made some of their own changes too, but switching onto the Maverick clearly wasn't enough. It wasn't everything that they required in order to deal with these changes from Xavier. And I think Napew being so switched on and knowing when to make those rotations and knowing when to be prepared for those players there on Electrify was incredibly valuable. I mean, especially when in this situation they brought 4 frag grenades and there wasn't anything like a Maestro on board where you had to worry so much about Evil Eyes to get rid of. You know, the sledge was kind of elsewhere, so he wasn't really in a position to be dealing with the shields, and so he was going to literally use that frag grenade as a method of murder. But got caught out before he even had the opportunity, and I think it was pretty astute there from Napew. Back upstairs.
10 seconds to go.
And really, Xavier don't seem to feel very comfortable going to any site that's not bunk or, well,
Attackers objective.
I don't know. This is the first time that they've come kind of elsewhere.
This far.
Yeah, so I'm really interested to see because they've been to Bunk and Throne. They're up here in Initiation and Office, and it's the first time that they've come here. And what that kind of says to me is then they don't feel super comfortable about it because it's at the point now where they can try and get that, well, get it to a 6-6. It's not a draw, and force overtime. But, why wouldn't they have come here before?
Yeah, that is the question. Maybe because they had no need to as of yet. As Triple Lift will be taking more damage than he deals, as he deals exactly 0 points of damage compared to his 20 that he received. Said it was right on the head, but wasn't able to hit him in the end. Right now, it is going to be Electrify hunting to make sure they don't have to go to overtime hunting to make sure they get the full win here before that overtime is being touched, because as soon as you reach overtime, you don't know what's going to be happening anymore. Things might just as well go the other way. And as Flash gets taken out first by Napew, it is definitely seeming to be favoring Xavier for at least this round. As right now, it is Electrify on that back foot yet again. They started off so well in this half. They ended so well in the first as well. So far, they're not going to be able to do anything about that. Is that going to breach? No, it's not. Going to be just delayed, and Onagiri tries to trick the second one as well. No, he does not. It's going to be a little bit of an opening, though. They might be able to use that for some lines of sight, but definitely not going to be able to get the plant through.
Interesting how I've seen Electrify, move over. When they were in Arcade, you could see Triple Lift especially was positioned to watch for those flanks, but actually they've moved further into, I don't want to say the site, closer to the site, I should say, before Napew was even able to get to the bottom of Arcade. And that means that he's down there crouched and ready, and they could get caught out if he's able to get their backs. DCH going to be going in for that shot from Cash, but not actually able to get anything. Instead, he's going to have it turned back around on him as Ray secures a kill. Backwards and forwards here. It's going to be Xavier getting 2 of those final kills with just Pikachu remaining here on Electrify. Things looking good here for Xavier, and I'm willing to bet, Hap, that they're about to secure themselves the overtime round. Not how we expected things to go, but Pikachu still has a chance. He does get 1 kill, but he's not going to be able to secure any more, and Xavier do take it to overtime.
They do indeed take it to overtime right here, and not really what we would have liked to see for Electrify. I kind of hoped they would be able to take it right here, but they're going to have to fight for a bit longer as they're going onto the attack yet again for this OT. There's no swap coming around. It is definitely Xavier right here that has the favor, as 8 defensive rounds have been won, only 4 on the offense. So slight favor here for Xavier, but maybe that Electrify is going to be able to at least get 1 more round in on their attack.
All right. Throne room. Been here a couple of times now. Some changes are being made, and this is kind of reminiscent of what we saw on round 7, the first time that Xavier opted to come and defend Throne Room, where they wanted to bring the Legion. They had the Mozzie that time. They were going for a little bit more of that kind of roaming sense, but instead they're sticking with the Kaid that has been working a little bit better for them. Well, actually, they haven't chosen to bring the Legion. They've chosen to bring the Pulse instead.
Yeah.
I'm just misreading. You know, it happens.
It's a long day. It's a long day.
You know, it has been a really long day. But, you know, Scatman's been playing the Pulse already. You can obviously transfer over that information using the cardiac sensor. You do have the C4 available to you alongside that on Bandit. It's a pattern that we've seen so far. They don't like to bring the C4 on the Kaid, instead going for the barbed wire. And you're actually seeing some of that, you know, being placed just on the inside of the site there. A lot of electrification as well. And ADS buried in there as well. So that makes it significantly harder there for the attackers to come through. And we were just shown that the electrification on the yellow hatch just above where you see.
Oh, well, it is going to be the Maverick again to come out from the likes of Pikachu. Has the opportunity to bypass this electrification from Xavier to come through. Flash drops down.
Oh.
We'll be able to get the kill onto Napier. No, Napier drops down and will be taken out. So that's the entry for Electrify here. That's a huge one, as that is enabling them to potentially, well, use this as a jump into something higher, into an attacking round right here onto this overtime match. To maybe close it out in 8-6. So maybe at least take the advantage from the get-go. Scatman here playing with that pulse shotgun. Something we do not really often see in other regions. However, in APAC, quite often seeing that M10 coming around.
Yeah, often people, you know, it's the meme, isn't it? People like to talk about the UMP, but not to be brought this time. Instead, he's just going to sit tight in tellers and transfer over that information as and when he gets it. So, oh, okay, there we go. There's that shotgun being used. Nice and, you know, almost as if on cue. And Ray is going to be going down. So that's 1 down for each of these 2 teams. In go the frag grenades from Flash. He's going to be sending them in from Office down towards the site. But they won't be getting anything as far as kills are concerned. And he'll just start to open up the hatch. I really thought he was going to fall through it then, but he managed not to. And just going to be applying that pressure from above. Yeah, you know, like, why not?
He was looking at it, and his 2 drones right there might have just been taken down, but he will be caught in the crossfire. Pikachu comes from the back, secures the kill onto Scatman, and that is going to be putting things in favor of Electrify again. But we got to keep in mind, there's only 45 seconds left on the clock. As Pikachu right here will be playing a very important role, starting on that Maverick, opening things up. There's no holes above to throw through your C4. And Nagiri, you should have really made that one, because if you want to throw through this little hole that just has been created, you might electrify your C4 right there. That means that the Nitro might not have any use at all in the end, but it's going to be... Oh no, he messed it up. He messed it up somewhere. I'm not sure where he did, but that means his feet could potentially be shot out, and he doesn't know either where he did it. There needs to be some support right now. He gets the kill to Pikachu. That's how you lose the round right there, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not going to be able to get that wall open, that could come very costly here as Triple Lift tries to move in. It's the crossfire of Xavier to finish it off right there. And you see it all fall apart as they cannot open up that wall. Xavier able to take this one, even though they were on the back foot from the get-go. And what a round that was.
I mean, it's got to be kind of heartbreaking for Electrify there, especially as they started things off quite well, you know, getting rid of Napew, who was causing them so much grief on the previous rounds, and you thought, well, this looks like it could be a good start. But of course, when you had you know, Scatman sat down in Tellers on the pulse shotgun, and he managed to get that early kill, but then he didn't quite see the ash, and it was kind of going backwards and forwards. We're thinking time is starting to tick down. Okay, Maverick, he's starting to open up the wall. Oh no, look, the defense, they've made a mistake because they can't throw the C4 through. But then Maverick made that slight error in I don't even want to say in judgment, because it wasn't in judgment, it was just an error in his play. And evidently that was enough to punish the attackers and to secure that round there for Xavier. So now all they need is this next round, and they will be taking an overtime victory. And this is the crazy thing. We were talking about how Electrify was storming on ahead, how they had been so hard to read for so many teams. The amount of respect being given to them by different teams had been varying because no one knows anything about them. And yet it looked like this was going to be a series very, very firmly in their pockets. And suddenly now they're on the back foot as it's come through to their attacking half. Obviously now they're going to find themselves on the defense once more. And their defensive half went really well before. So if they can secure the 7-7 here, you might find yourself doing another doing 45 rounds a day.
Convinced already. I have given up on the fact that I'm not going to get an overtime match today. So you know, let's just make it a full 45. What's that one round worth of difference, right? It's just it's 4 minutes. 4 minutes. It's okay. I've made peace with it. My voice will hate me, but that's okay. Pikachu is going to be taking a lot of damage right there from a teammate. That is definitely not the right way to start here for Electrify, as that is going to be putting down your smoke and your stall down to about, well, let's say 20. Just a grenade landing even remotely close to him would be able to instantly take him out. As Napew is ready at this window right here, he might be able to find an angle to toss one in.
Well, we're yet to see if that does happen. Monty's just going to be getting there on his drones. Pre-placed there. He was able to see some of those defenders, and of course that information can be conveyed over towards the rest of the team who can take advantage of it. There's Onigiri just getting rid of the camera, and actually Napew is going to be able to get that frag grenade that you were worried about. There's another kill too. Xavier, a good start here, bringing down 2 of those defenders, but it's going to be turned back around there as Ray gets the kill onto Onigiri. But still 4 remaining make that 3 remaining attackers, and things are starting to even up here. Half the round is still remaining, and as I said, Electrify have had some pretty good defenses so far, so maybe this could be something that they can get their tenacious grip in and make work in their favor, bring it back to that even scoreline and take it through to a round number 15.
And definitely, but you got to keep in mind that the smoke is gone, and Redson still has the Monty available to him. There's only 1 C4 left on the likes of Ed. That one needs to hit, but look at his HP, it's super low. Literally everything will kill him at this point in time. He's actually going to be able to get the kill down to Redson somehow, and that might keep Electrify just alive. As right here, Napew hoping to enter up from upper arcade into the bunk. He's going to be able to get a free fire down onto Ray, able to get 1 kill. Tries to go for a second, but does not exactly know where it's being shot from. It's a down to come in. It's a bit of damage to be done by DCH, but Electrify will win round 14. 45 rounds, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be going for it. It's Electrify right here to go and push it to round 15 for them, and to maybe, just maybe, get that extra attacking round win in and beat Xavier just out on this matchup.
And it's crazy how, you know, you go back to what they were saying on the analyst desk, and even though they had their opinions as to who was going to win, they made it very clear that it's actually incredibly hard to judge this series, and they're kind of proving why that is. You know, even when we look at the audience votes, 65% of the audience thought Xavier were going to win. For so much of the game, Electrify looked considerably stronger, and now they're clawing their way back. Well, Electrify, they're going to be back on the attack for this next round. And of course, whoever wins this round will be taking the series. We don't do infinite overtime over here. So it will be over. We will know who it is going to be. And it's been so backwards and forwards, Hap, that I wouldn't even know which way to throw it. I think that Xavier, by the end of their defensive rounds, actually really managed to get a hold on what it was they were doing and find where a lot of their value and their power was coming from. And I think if they can recreate that, kind of system, then this could probably go to Xavier. But it's really hard to call.
The issue right now is, however, that Electrify, Xavier just went into an attacking round, and that will be coming down to the defense. So that little bit of momentum and discipline and consistency they have managed to build up throughout their comeback from 6-3 to 7-6 is now going to be gone, right? They need to pick themselves up again. DCH is going to be trying to do that with a spawn pick. If it works out, it's going to be absolutely great. If it's not, probably nothing will be lost, but no one is going to be spawning around there, so he's not going to be finding anybody as of yet.
We did actually see the Dot get punished earlier on in a situation where you'd really rather not. I mean, we always talk about how he does have that ACOG available to him that allows him to hold on to really long angles. And if you're being able to get the advantage over him in situations like that, then it's really a disappointing position to be in. But DCH, he's really held his own so far, I would say. He was the highest rated player for Xavier in their last game. And that was when they played against Fav back here on Theme Park. So hopefully we'll be looking to him to be doing quite well on this round. Electrify beginning to make their way in. We've got 3 of these players based up here on the roof, as well as I believe Ed is also outside. So they're going to be droning in, just collecting as much intel as possible because they're going to need it. After this round, there's no second chances. There's no more attempts. This is it. They have to get it right.
They indeed have to get it right. There is no extra tries here for both these teams. There's going to be one to repel in and the other one to go out. It's just the exchange of the shifts right here. As Ray will be putting up his air jabs right there. In the meantime, Pikachu opening up on that wall, making sure that this time he will actually succeed. Because if you remember correctly, that was the reason why they lost the previous one into OT, when they weren't able to get this wall properly open. He's being very careful with it now, making sure that he actually gets it properly. You see part of the reinforcement already to fall down, and he's just double checking everything as we speak. DCH gets one. Is the instant reply from Flash though to take down DCH. It's a one-on-one trade. Both have been evenly impactful, but as Napew now gets the one onto Pikachu, it looks like it might all be falling apart here for Electrify. Not sure if he opened up completely with that Maverick torch right there, if they're even going to be able to have that wall open, or if they just have to force themselves through these choke points now. It's going to be Scatman to be in a gunfight soon with Ray, as he's just laying prone and waiting. Ransom to fall. Flash is on sight. It's going to be Ray that needs to come up here, though. They need to get that diffuser down there. If Napew gets taken out, it's a 2-3 situation now. We're counting down slowly as another kill comes in for the likes of Electrify, and it seems like they might be able to get their attacking round in. There's still a C4 left, though, on Scatman. He gets one. He might be able to get 2. He will definitely get the diffuser with the C4. No, Ray barely lives with 1 HP. Triple Live wasn't able to respond straight away, but we are counting down from 36 seconds now. Scatman knows where 1 is. Swaps over to his M45 as he tries to get the pistol kill to come through. The shotgun is really not the play right now, Scatman. You really have to stick to that pistol as he pulls out the cardiac sensor just one more time, trying to find out if there's any players inside, but he knows no one is there. They're all long gone. He needs to make a move now. He needs to get these kills in, and he needs to cut to the left right here because they're both going to be around that side, but it's going to be Electrify that winner. Round 15 to go to them. It's a very hard-fought victory, but definitely a deserved one.
Third overtime series of the day, and as you say, a half-fought victory. That's exactly what it was. Electrify looked so strong for the beginning of the series, and Xavier clawed their way back. But in the end, ultimately, it was Electrify who was able to take the victory. And this team, who has so many question marks surrounding them. The history of them seems to be somewhat a mystery, consistently and constantly showing that they have what it takes to be a name worth something in this region. Hap, what a grueling series.
It's definitely been a grueling series, but Electrify, the underdog of the entire league. Many people expected them to end last. Right now, they're 2-2. Let's throw it over to our analysts to close things up.